Unfortunately, what you're about to hear is real. The members of this radio program are simply not that bright, or what some people would call educated. They are merely stupid. They're not trying to offend anyone on purpose. And all have played doctors on TV. You have been warned, and are cordially invited to join the party. This is the men's room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
This is the men's room with Miles and Thrill. You know what they say, shake your radio more than 3 times, and you're playing with it. You're listening to the men's room.
Right away we go. Welcome to show number 2794. Along with Steve the Throw Hill, the Ted Smith, Robin Fox, and my cock. Montgomery! Are in the men's room. On tap today, here come the bad jokes, bitches. The exciting return of Ted versus the FCC. Get ready to play Profile This. Plus headlines, a men's room shot of the day, fun with listener emails, and everyone's favorite, TV Time with Ted.
Click, clack, drinkity drunk.
All right, here we go. Woman goes on a rage in Wisconsin McDonald's saying, "What the F is this? I didn't order no sausage biscuit." Meanwhile, a New Jersey woman loses her 2-year-old in a car that was towed and now only gets the occasional weekend visit. California coffee cups now must come with a label on the joys of cancer. Former Offspring drummer turned OBGYN saves juror who used to be a dancer, and a teacher lets a student borrow a knife for a prop in a school play, and now the teacher is forced to resign. That is all coming on today's very special episode of The Men's Room.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, bitches. Good day to you and yours. All right, look, people can be strange. Obviously, that's no secret. But it actually gets awkward when it's someone you know, but you didn't know that they were strange. Like the married father of 3 in Long Island, New York. Guy works as a district judge. He has, and I quote, a stellar reputation in the court. So imagine everyone's surprised when they find out that he was the serial dirty wear underwear stealer. He got busted stealing his neighbor's daughter's dirty underwear.
Oh, man, come on.
She's 23. I'm not that that makes it better, but it makes it a little bit. Who's the cheeky little monkey? Well, anyway, things obviously got awkward, but people can be creepy. In Kansas, a woman was enjoying an evening at home with her boyfriend. They were interrupted when her ex-boyfriend fell through the ceiling because that creepy son of a bitch had been hiding up in her ceiling, and we're not sure for how long. Now, we could go on. We could tell you about the man in Washington, D.C. with the British accent. And we will coming up. But first, we want you to think about that one really creepy or awkward or unnerving interaction that you had with someone. And then share it with us. Here's today's question. When did you realize that you were dealing with a creepy individual?
Be part of the big show. Call 844-999-OLA. You can like The Men's Room on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Men's Room Live. And send your emails to themensroom@mensroomlive.com. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
Hola, bitchola. You have entered the men's room.
Oh, the show is and away we go. Welcome to show number 2794. What a large and in charge program we have for you today. Bad jokes coming up right before we drink and toast with a shot of the day. The return of Ted versus the FCC and another round of Profile This, all coming up. And today on our question, we are going to talk about creepy individuals. And what makes someone creepy? Well, creepy individuals come in all shapes and sizes. Sometimes you see someone and you go, man, oh man, they look creepy. Other times you maybe don't know someone's creepiness until you learn of their actions.
See, that to me is creepier.
Which is sometimes worse.
Look, even if you think someone's creepy when you interact with them, if you find out that they've done something creepy, even though it doesn't surprise you, it affirms. Now they're officially creepy. Like, you can be creepy and not have done anything. It's just your vibe.
Right.
And then every once in a while you hear a story and you're like, oh, my God. Like, that guy, legitimate. Mm-hmm. And listen, because you had that neighbor. We've brought him up, right? Sam. And the guy was absolutely creepy.
He was creepy.
He never did anything, as far as we knew, to prove it. Maybe he was just awkward, but I'm telling you, man, like with that guy,
there was a lot of layers.
I think criminally creepy.
There was a lot of layers of weirdness about that guy. The one thing that and this is not, they don't necessarily correlate or go hand in hand, but when Sam tried to get out of his, and this was an apartment building, when he tried to get out of his door, he was such a hoarder that he had boxes that were in the hallway and everything was stacked up to the ceiling. Like there was just he had to kind of walk out of his place sideways. Mm-hmm. And he couldn't open up the door all the way, which is already weird. Like you couldn't look into his place. It was like he just like kind of had to like escape out of it.
Would you want to see his place?
He had food on his face all the time in his hair because he never shaved. And it was always like he was always eating crackers or something. There's always crumbs coming off of him.
He always wore a sweater vest, which to me,
which also held the crumbs, like this old, out of date. And he left a box of toys out in front of his apartment in case any of the kids wanted any of these toys in the apartment complex. Keep in mind, there were a few kids in there. There were not a lot. My daughter stayed with me on the weekends at that point in time.
Right.
So, he would offer to give them toys, and I'm like, you know me, man, I don't take credit. I mean, like, my kids want something, which they really most of the time do not, to be honest with you. They're just not those types of kids. They'll just get it. You know what I mean? Because they don't really get a lot of stuff. And like, Dad, can I have that? I'm like, oh, yeah, of course. I don't care. You never ask for anything. Why not?
Even though it's from him?
Yeah, but these toys that Sam didn't have any of the toys that look like toys that you should be able to, that you've recognized before. Sam had the toys that it looked like you picked up in Chinatown in San Francisco that you think the paint, could possibly,
have asbestos.
It could contaminate an entire river if this toy fell.
Right.
In. Like it was those, like, it's just so generic of toys that he had.
Here's my problem with this guy. Like, on one level, maybe, and look, maybe we're being cynical. Maybe he's just a nice guy. The vibe I got from him is that he does not look at them as toys. He looks at them as lures. You know what I mean? Like,
and
that to me
it was
almost
the vibe
like, I got from this guy, man.
He
never did anything. He never said anything. It was just like I met him, and I'm like, this guy, like I said, is criminally creepy. I don't know what his deal is. I don't want to know.
The box is just a box by itself. But when you put the box out in front of your door and you put toys in it, then it's a trap. Like you can have a rat trap or a mouse trap. It's just a rat, but until you set it and put cheese in it,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like then it's going to be effective. So that was so weird about that. So I tried to. I mean, I had to keep I just kept my eyes on everything in that in that situation. But he was. I'm sure it would not surprise me if you heard something about him later on, that I'd be like, yeah.
I'm surprised we haven't heard it yet.
No, I'm not either. This is, and there's one other weird scenario.
Like, he's the kind of guy that could be a cannibal. And a real quick question about cannibalism. Just, a lot of people I know eat vegetables, right? Mm-hmm. Miles, you eat vegetables.
Yep.
You also eat meat.
Yep.
You are not a vegetarian. Vegetarian eats vegetables strictly, right?
Correct.
So, to be a cannibal, do you have to only eat people like a vegetarian?
No, I just think you accept the act of eating. Yeah, when you can, like anything
so
else.
So it's easier to be a cannibal than a vegetarian. You don't have to give up anything to be a cannibal.
Pescatarians don't only just eat fish. You know what I mean? They eat vegetables and they eat other things and bread and everything else, but they just don't eat fish. They can eat other things. They don't eat meat typically.
Yeah. So to be a cannibal, you don't have to give up anything is my point. Much easier.
I will say this. You are either always creepy, all right? So like you're just going to be a weirdo forever, or you have what I think or could consider to be temporary insanity. For some reason, there was a window of time when I was a younger adult where living with roommates and just seeing how people reacted to breakups, to incidents, to people running into each other at parties and the social scene behind something, there really is something, I think, understandable about maybe like the temporary insanity plea when somebody comes home.
Of moments of extreme emotion,
right,
yes.
Exactly. So...
But you can't plot.
So you're right. But I've seen that before in what I thought to be a normal person, but only after a breakup.
Sure.
So like,
if it's going to happen, that's probably
it seems to be the one time
at that age
when people lose their minds.
Right.
Who normally are pretty normal, stable
people. Did you know
people.
anyone who took a breakup well? They're not always violent.
No.
Took a breakup well at that age.
No.
Just not one.
No.
Not one.
So, and sometimes when you're in it, and that's the thing I think about, it seems to be when you get older, and like, it's just like, do you give up? Yeah. Like, I give up too.
I don't want to fight about it.
Can we just be cool?
Right.
Yeah. it's almost like, it's like you've been through it like 5 or 6 or 7 times. And like when you're 60, it's like, oh, my heart, my God, I can't eat. I lost 10 pounds. My world's going to end. Like the older you get, you're like, yeah, maybe we should just say that.
Right. It doesn't matter.
Right, exactly.
All I'm going to think about is them.
You want that, man? Yeah, take that. I don't care.
You just don't care.
But this is the case, I believe, of young love. Thursday night at approximately 9:30, police received a call from a woman concerned about a possible intruder in her home on Cherokee Drive. When the woman came home, she discovered that her door was locked and the safety chain had been fastened from the inside. Dumbass does that who breaks into a place.
And why does anyone think the safety chain could possibly prevent anyone?
Yeah, you fasten that only from the inside. No one could just walk away from their house and walk out and leave that undone. That's not how that works. So police were summoned to investigate, so they gave a thorough search of the residence, and they didn't find anybody in there. Well, later that evening, the woman and her boyfriend heard an incredibly loud noise coming from the garage in the home. And upon going into the garage, the boyfriend discovered that the girlfriend's ex-boyfriend had partially fallen through the home ceiling. The current boyfriend then pulled one Tyler Burkamp, 25, down from the attic. Burkamp, by the way, had a large knife and sheath on his person and got into an altercation with the boyfriend and then threatened to kill him. Police arrived a second time to discover that Burkamp had been dragged to the front yard where his knife had been taken away. Burkamp now faces charges of aggravated burglary, stalking, criminal damage to property, criminal threats, and possession. So, yes, he fell through the ceiling of his ex-girlfriend's home.
That is a thing.
That is someone who's having a difficult time with a breakup and has lost their mind. Or,
like I said, why would you put the chain on from the inside?
I don't know.
If you plan on hiding. Like, they know you're there because you put the chain on from the inside.
Yeah. That's that is a weird one. All right,
that boy ain't right.
One more, real quick for you. This one comes from Long Island, and a Long Island judge, a judge who police say reportedly and repeatedly broke into his neighbor's home to steal her underwear, has confessed to snatching the panties on multiple occasions, even though he's pleaded not guilty.
That makes no sense to me.
He knows the law. He's a judge. He must know the loophole in this.
Well, sure.
Suffolk County District Judge Robert Sakale has been removed from the bench and is facing up to 15 years in prison. He was arrested on burglary charges and appeared in court the other morning. The judge is a married father of 3 young children, and he is accused of sneaking into a home across the street from his and stealing the underwear of a 23-year-old woman who lives there with her parents.
Smell it.
He reportedly knew the girl from when she worked as an intern at the attorney's office, where he used to work as well.
And it's his neighbor.
And his confession, he said he stole the underwear upon feeling urges. He admitted that on several occasions, he entered the home, opened her hamper,
smell it,
and took her dirty underwear.
Jeez, man.
So Carl was taken into custody after an incident that happened around 9 a.m. when the young woman was alone. Prosecutors said she was sleeping but woke up when she heard the door open. She called out, "Hello?" That's when she saw her neighbor in the doorway. Authorities say he turned around and ran, and the victim closed and locked the door and called her mother, who then called 911. Responding officers say they saw him walking up to a different house and pretending to knock on that door. They approached him because he matched the description of a person the victim described. They reportedly found several pairs of soiled women's underwear on him, which the victim identified as her own. Wait.
At what age
hold on.
do you discover?
Hold on. This story comes from ABC 7 in New York.
Right.
And they say, because I was thinking, are they just trying to be ridiculous? Of soiled underwear. Now, do we really believe the underwear were soiled?
By soiled, it just means they've been worn.
Okay.
They've been worn.
All right.
But they have not been washed.
Let me rephrase when I read soiled, I think of what I found at the bottom of the hamper when my kids were young and trying to hide the fact that I was the only one who did laundry anyway.
Not poopy underwear.
Everything.
Just previously worn and has not been washed.
So,
but either way,
all right.
When do you figure out that that's what you like?
I don't know.
You know, like, when do you figure out, man, I can't explain it, but the thing that gets me going, it's the smell of dirty underwear.
He wrote a letter of apology to the victim and also provided a written confession, so he confessed. This is highly disturbing, according to the district attorney. This is an individual who swore to uphold the law. He violated it in a very serious way. Yes, he did. All right, look. I'm not going to try to defend this guy because he's obviously he is a bit of a weirdo.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
All right. Do you think that this guy is a dangerous individual, or is he just a panty-loving, sick individual. What is he?
I believe he is a butt huffer, but I do not believe he is dangerous.
Would he
I don't
do,
believe
that's what I'm saying. Would he do harm? Would he do harm?
It's not that, but it's this. But he's violating your privacy.
I
so it's like,
that.
listen, this is a ridiculous conversation. We're saying this guy
I'm not trying to
cannot resist the temptation
of soil.
of dirty underwear. And as ridiculous as it is, that draw to him, he can't just stay home and think about it. Like, he physically broke into someone's house just to grab a pair of dirty underwear. And as ridiculous as that is to me,
it sounds
easy
unbelievable
of a thing as it should be to not do, right?
Yeah,
I mean, like, that should never be a problem. But for this guy, he's not dangerous,
look, man,
but dude's got a problem.
He's looking at 15 years in prison, and I understand that.
That's a bit much.
He might be mentally ill, or
I don't think he needs 15 years in prison.
Or is this?
Is
this a weird fetish? I just don't think this guy would hurt someone physically.
I don't think
I'm not saying that that's right. Obviously, people are in jail for crimes where no one was injured, whether that's
the guy needs
embezzlement.
help.
I mean, obviously, you're injured in a different way, but physically injured.
It is a fetish. And I guess, look, in Japan.
I know that's what I'm saying.
In Japan, they have vending machines where you can buy.
I know that.
These pants. So obviously, it's prevalent enough.
Maybe he needs a vacation.
That there's a business. But right. Take a vacation, man. You can't break into people's houses.
Yeah. Okay.
But you know who has the worst out of this? Honestly, it's his kids, all right? Because as kids, you know how other kids can be, okay? Mm-hmm. So you have the anti-bullying conversations and all this stuff. When these kids get to school, if they're not already in school, man, if word gets out, and it will, that your dad is the panty sniffer that breaks into people's houses, I mean, that is a lifetime of hurt for
Quote,
them.
No one is above the law, even the judge, will prosecute this case to the fullest extent. A Nassau County District Judge...
Will he be debriefed?
Presided over the case to prevent a conflict of interest, so he couldn't be the judge, obviously. And this judge is expected to receive mental health treatment. Quote, his reputation throughout the court is stellar. Every judge, every lawyer respects him, and we just have to see how this all plays out. Wexler went on to say that the judge's wife is standing by her husband through the process.
Man, oh man.
Neighbors were shocked when they learned of the judge's arrest.
Of course they were.
It's a little perverted, maybe, says his neighbor William.
It would be news if someone said, I'm not shocked.
And he also said, and that never makes no sense to me. I don't think they quoted him correct. He's a family man. He's always outside playing basketball with his kids. He's always jogging. He's always friendly to everyone in the neighborhood.
I'm sure he's all those things.
I think
he'll also break into your house and steal your daughter's pants.
Man, I'll tell you something right now. I think, okay, and I'm just going to say this, and this does not pertain obviously to all runners, but you know, when you go do these races, there's a lot. Okay, the running community is a strange community. Yeah. Because a lot of people run strictly to clear their head, and they've got a lot of stuff going on in their head. Mm-hmm. So the people that you meet at these races, some of them are very normal, and they're very driven, and they're just people who love running. And then there's this other group, and I can't explain it. Ryan Castle, the drunken charge, could probably get into it a little bit more, and I can't describe the psychological profile of it too much. But like,
I got to run 13 miles.
Do you remember the pilot who took the entire plane into the side of the mountain in Europe?
Yeah,
not too long ago. He was an avid runner, and that's the only thing he did. And like when I saw his picture, and I started to read the profile of this guy who was obviously really, really unbalanced, and it was really having a mentally difficult time.
He flew a plane into the side of a mountain.
And decided that's how he wanted to do it.
Thank you, Mr. Freud.
With everybody on board, right? And I felt like. I've like the pre-race, the post-race, you have these beers, you have all the stuff available. Like, I think there's a lot of these people out there who like to run, man, who are just a little bit
if you're looking for crazy people, go to the running community.
I'm just saying, no, they're not
Target-rich environment.
They're not all crazy.
Not all,
but it seems like I've done all kinds of athletics and played in all kinds of organized sports, and I've never been around just what I thought was a weird factor like that.
Okay, outside of an insane asylum,
weird factor.
Is this the highest concentration of what you believe to be unbalanced people? Like when you do these races and all these...
Only in sports. You know what I mean? Like, and I would have to think gymnasts are messed in the head, but for a number of reasons. Swimmers, people that have to practice.
But theirs is different.
Yes, but I think
theirs is more involuntary, man. Like if you're going to run, like you just decide to leave your house and go running. No one's making you do it. So if you're working out, you've got problems with that, then you got problems.
Ultra marathon runners, you have to have something wrong with you to feel like you want to run 26 miles. I'm sorry, it's just
you just did a half marathon though.
I know.
So what is wrong with you?
I know something is wrong with my brain. That's why I'm saying, but there's a creepy factor involved in the other things. Where I'm just.
But are they saying that about you?
Could be. Totally, absolutely, without question.
So you lump yourself in with this?
Oh, I'm one of. Well, I'm in the group.
Okay,
you know
all right.
So
I'm
how
checking,
how can I pass?
You just ran 13, which to me is absolutely insane.
There's just a weird group of people who are strangely obsessed with. I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it. I wish I could put my finger on it, but if they ever asked you out, you would not want to join them up for dinner or go to their house for a barbecue.
Well, someone just brought a comment in. It says, "I spontaneously decided to run a marathon last year." And you hit the nail on the head.
What are you runners? You badass nuts?
Yeah.
What about the people who run for 36 hours, 4 days? What is wrong? There's something that's not. Look, maybe if you were going to guarantee to get late at the end of it, I would think about doing it. You know what I mean? All right, man, you run 15 miles, maybe you're going to get late.
You know what, man?
I'd probably be too tired. But
the marathon thing to me, this is the thing, and I truly, truly believe this. I honest to God believe this with all of my heart. I think the story of marathon in the first place, the idea that some dude had to deliver a message, was like in ancient Egypt or something, ran 26.2 miles across the desert to deliver this message, delivers the message, drops dead. It's very heroic. And then kind of as a tribute, that's where marathons come from, right?
Mm-hmm.
BS. Listen, you don't have GPS tracking back then. You have no way of getting a message ahead. You cannot make a phone call. So if I'm him, like the average person, I did not run 26.2 miles. I took 4 days to reach you, but when I give you the note, what I'm going to tell you is I just ran 26.2 miles from the other town. There's no way he did that. There's no way. The guy ran a con, and now people actually do this thing that you know damn well that guy did not run through desert sands straight for 20. But that's what he told the person when he got there, because there's no way. There's no Snopes.
This is not somebody who's just out doing a charity thing, doing a 5K run. I've done plenty of those before. That's not the crowd I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who are going long distance. I did a Solar Turbine 5K in San Diego before the Holiday Bowl. Perfectly normal people. Now, if you want to go 13 miles, that's where the weirdness. That's where the weird people start coming in.
Sure.
Then you're in trouble. When did you realize that you were dealing with a creepy individual? 844-999-OLA. Hold on the line there. More of your calls coming up. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
We return to the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
All right, bad jokes coming up. The drug and charge Ryan Castleman. We'll kick off those bad jokes right before we drink and toast with a shot of the day. Our question, when did you realize that you were dealing with a creepy individual? 844-999-OLA.
Have some good comments here. It says, I substituted for a class, and during free drawing time, a 5-year-old drew a picture of the devil with large breasts and blood coming out of the nipples. I always wondered how that kid turned out. Got to wonder about that. We had the story of the guy. He was a judge in Long Island. He was just busted because he had broken into his neighbor's house to steal the dirty panties of his neighbor's daughter.
That's correct. 23-year-old adult daughter.
This guy says, I like smelling my wife's panties. Turns me on. But I don't search out anybody else's. I like it because they smell like her. I'm not afraid to say that I like getting downstairs with her. So it's not much different.
Okay. I don't know that I've ever picked up. I have
no urge. I have zero urge to do that.
And smelled it.
And then as far as running people being crazy.
Uh-oh.
Says, I spontaneously decided to run a marathon last year. I told you this one. You hit the nail on the head, et cetera, et cetera. Let's see. Just as you said that about runners, this suspicious guy ran by.
Mm-hmm. Probably pooped in your front yard. Yeah.
My aunt used to run 26-plus miles every day.
No way.
Crazy. Doctor finally told her she had to stop. People clearing up marathon. It was in Greece, right, between the Athens and the city marathon. Let's see. A few more. Let's see. I run 14.5 miles every other day from May to October. I'm not weird. Yes, you are.
Every other, you mean total or your?
I guess they're saying every other day they'll run 14.5 miles.
Okay. Well, you know
what? And then they're saying I'm not weird. Yes, you are.
You can't be the judge of that. You have to ask other people.
Don't know.
If anybody who knows me asks if I'm weird, most of the time people are going to say, yeah, he's out of his mind.
Right. But to you, you're just who you are.
Yeah, I don't know any different. When did you realize that you were dealing with a creepy individual? 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Amanda. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Boo, bitches.
Boo.
Okay, so I work in the mall at a retail store you probably have all been to. It's geared towards probably 13 to 25-year-olds.
Tell me it's Spencer's.
What's that?
Tell me it's Spencer's. That was always my favorite mall store.
It's Spencer's other cousin.
Okay, all right. Very cool.
Yeah.
I used to love Spencer.
Yeah. So, one day it's a nice slow, like Monday or Tuesday, I'm working, and like I feel like there's a borderline between creepy and gross. Am I right? Like
I would agree. Sure.
Sure.
Okay, so this gentleman walks in, and I'm going to describe him to you just so you can feel what I felt that day, all right? He's probably 5'10 or 5'11", and he probably weighs like, my guess is like 275 to 280, because he's a big dude. He's got on these baggy blue jeans and like a black T-shirt with like a nondescript graphic on it, and it's tucked into his pants, and his big belly is kind of created this inflated blue jean T-shirt mess in front of him, and he doesn't have any neck, so he's got like these two rolls for like a triple chin, and he's a mouth breather, and he's got the nasty yellow teeth, and he's like breathing like as he walks in my store, right? And like he's got long gray salt and pepper hair and a ponytail, and it looks like he slicked it back with cooking oil.
Sounds like the guy who sells comics on The Simpsons.
Right.
Yeah, like that guy like 30 years later and worse, and he's got like these like wirely like hairs out of his eyebrows and his nose and his ears, and every orifice has like crusty something. It's like earwax or dandruff or boogers, and like this guy was just gross.
You really looked this guy up and down, didn't you? Yeah. You were really descriptive.
I couldn't help it. Like my store is geared like if you're buying clothes, you're probably a 13-year-old girl wanting like a My Chemical Romance band T-shirt. You know what I'm saying? But like we get adults in there too for like the collectibles and stuff. But this guy was just out of place. So it's me and my assistant, acting like a little pea, like went and like hid behind a fixture to act like she was, working on something. So this guy walks in and he looks around and he heads straight for the women's dress wall. Like we got all these big, beautiful pin-up fashion dresses. And I'm just like, all right. So I'm already feeling weird, but I'm a manager at a retail store. I have a job to do. I walk up to this guy, like really though, like what if my boss was watching, So
Right.
I walk up to this guy and I'm like, how's it going, man? Like, what can I help you with? And he turns around and like he's glistening, he's real oily, and he's like, I'm looking for a dress for my girlfriend. And like, first thought that went through my head was like, how? But then I'm like, no, my mom raised me right. There's love for everybody out there, Amanda.
Maybe Amanda, his girlfriend, is a doll.
Right.
I mean, you don't.
You're getting ahead of me here, okay?
Okay, but wait, let me just.
You're getting ahead of me here.
All right, okay.
So anyway, I'm like, all right, man, like, that's cool. Which one would you like to look at? I'll get it down for you. So he's pointing out some dresses, and I pull them down for him. And like I said, I passed some judgment in my head a little too quickly, and I'm like, what size can I get you? And I'm thinking large, extra large, double XL. Like, I'm trying to picture what this man's girlfriend might look like. And he goes, I need the smallest you got, like an extra small, like a size 0. And I'm like, are you sure? Because, like, a size 0 or, like, an extra small in my store is for, like, a 13-year-old girl who probably weighs, like, 80 pounds soaking wet. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah. So I pull this extra small little dress down, and it's like, I'm sick. It'd probably fit around my thigh, but he's like, that's the one. And I'm like, all right. So I'm starting to feel weird. And then he's like picking out all these accessories, like these cutesy little hair bows to go with it, and these like stockings and tights and whatever else. And like my assistant's in the back, like looking at me like, what the heck is going on? And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm freaking out because like I'm at the point where I think this guy's a child molester. But he picks out $300 worth of stuff, and I'm like, my commission is going to look awesome. Look at me selling all this.
Wait a
stuff
minute.
to this dude.
Did you just make the statement? I'm thinking, oh man, this guy might be a child molester. My commission is going to be fat.
I'm looking at some green right now.
Mama's got to eat, okay? So anyway, like, you're getting ahead of me. So I'm at the cash register, and like, I got my phone in my pocket, right? I'm wearing like a hoodie, and I'm ringing this guy up, and finally, like, I bag all his stuff up, and he says the magic words, do you want to see a picture of my girlfriend? And I like start sweating, and I'm
Hell
like,
yeah,
man, sure. I'm like, yeah, man, sure, yeah. And I got my hand on my phone in my pocket in case I got to dial 911, because when he flips this phone around, I'm expecting like a 13-year-old child, and I'm gonna have to call the cops. And like, I got his credit card, so I got his name and his info, and I'm just like, And Miles, you were right. It was like a life-size Japanese sex doll.
I won the prize.
Congratulations, Miles Montgomery.
And my eyes were like this big, and I'm like, that's cool, man. Have a good day. And like, he's trying to talk to me about her, but like, I start making excuses, and like, my assistant, I'm so mad at her. She was like hiding behind these fixtures. He didn't even see her. She didn't come to my rescue. She didn't help me. Nothing or whatever. And then more customers come in, and she's like, hey guys, how's it going? Can I help you? And I'm like, you stupid little bitch. Why aren't you over here saving me? You could take half of this. Come on.
You know what's amazing about the story to me? It's not this that the guy will buy clothes. He has no problem telling you about it. I think most people that have sex and sex dolls don't tell you.
That's not where I would have gone.
I mean, I haven't told anyone.
When did you realize that you are dealing with a creepy individual? 844-999-OLA.
Hola! The shenanigans continue on the Men's Room Radio Network.